Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. In the previous video, we learned about tuples and sets. There are two more data structure in Python, and we learned how we can access element loop over them. I hope you got all the concept properly. If you are facing problem, you can comment. I will just solve them. Today we'll be learning about one more data structure in Python called dictionary. So what dictionary is? Dictionary is also like a collection. Like how we do in list, we have index and we have the number, right? Here it works in a pair. Like the indexing, it's called key, and the number that we want is called value. It's not what I said directly, but that is how it works. So it's an key value pair collection. So if you want to say what is, let me comment out all of this. And if you go to the first one, what is a dictionary? So it's a data structure which stores in key value pair. So here, right, we define both the keys and values of it. So earlier when we are doing list, right, when we want to enter some number like 1 2 3 4 5, all the numbers were in a list. Now the indexing starts from 0 from there. In dictionary we don't have indexing of that type, but in place of index we define a key. The key, right, the key will also be defined by us, and the value is also. When we'll show the example, then you'll understand. So how do you define it? Let's say d equals to, just like set we learned in the previous class, like this also uses curly braces. But inside the curly braces, this is not just a number that we want to enter. First we need to enter the key. So suppose the key 1 is a. Okay, then we need to put a colon and put the number here. So we can write appla. Suppose this is the value. So this is how we define. The first one before this colon, right, is the key part, then the value. So if you want to write it like this, then it's like variable equals this, then the key, then the value. So this is how a dictionary is defined. So you can add more, like you can just put a comma here and write here b, and if you close this and write here ball. So these are two items inside the dictionary, a and b, where a and b are the keys and apple and ball are the values. So you can just print them out like this, print a. And if you run this now, Python 08, so this is the 8 class. So you can see we print a apple, b ball. Now if you want to know the type, we already know. If you want to know the type, just put type and put the day in it. And now if you run this, you can see it's class of dictionary. So in dictionary in Python it's called dict, the dict. So instead of dictionary you can say dict. So this is how dictionary is defined. But in declaring this dictionary, right, you need to keep two things in mind, like the key part, right? The key needs to be hashable. So what this means is, in the key, right, you can put anything that can be only hashed. So how do we know if something can be hashed? To know if it can be hashed, you can just do hash of the thing. Like for a, right, so if you do hash of a, let's put it in a variable called x, print x. Now if you run this, you can see you'll get a number like this. So anything which returns a number, right, like this, which can be formed in the number, that are hashable. So what are the things that can be hashable are string, int, float, tuple. So tuple has a property like the element inside tuple, right? Element inside tuple needs to be hashable. And you can't put what are not hashable are, you can't put list and set. So if I write not hashable are list, sets, so this cannot be hashed. So let's see if it works or not. Suppose we want y equal to hash of 1 2 3. Okay, now if you run this, let's comment this out and print y. You see this will throw an error because this cannot be hashed. So if you run this, you see unhashable type list. So on the key can be only which can be hashable, but the values, like we put a apple and ball, right, value can be anything. So if you want to declare one more dictionary, let's say here d2 equals, you can put 1. So this is integer, right, and you can put 1.5. This is float, right? So this is float. Then you can put a string, so str, let's say this is string. Then you can put tuple. We know what tuple is. If you don't know, see the previous class, that is tuple. And you can say tuple tuple and this. Now if you run this, print d2, this should be possible. See, all of this got printed out. So if you want to define for dictionary, there are two properties that needs to be in your mind. One is the key part of it, right? So since dictionary are two, means it accepts the value and key value pair, so the keys part of it needs to be hashable. And what are type of the hashable? It's string, int, float, tuple. You can also define a class of hashable that we'll learn later on, since we don't know what classes are for now. So only the hashable elements can be part of key. So that is very important when you define a dictionary. I hope you know how we can define a dictionary. So you can put curly braces, put the key and put the value. Value can be anything, okay? You can see here. Now let's do one thing. So suppose it's a list. You can put list here. You can put 1, 2, 3, 4. The value can be anything, okay? You don't have to care what the value is. Value can be either hashable, not hashable. That's not part of any problem there. If you run this and see, right, you get printed. The list part has a list. The value can be of anything, but only the key need to be part of hash. It needs to be hashable. Okay, that is one. Okay, I hope you got this. Now, how do you access an element? Like I said, we don't have index here, right? We have key value pair. In when we defined list and tuples, we had an index, like we can go from 0, 1, we can go all of them. But here we don't have that indexing part. But here we have the the key part. So you can use this key like an index, like how we use in list, right? So what you can do is, you can do print. Suppose this is a d2, and if you want to print the first element, what is the key of it? It's 1. So just put 1 here. Put 1 here. And now let me comment this out. Okay. So if you run this, see, we got 1. Let me put a print statement here. First element. Okay. Now see, the first element is 1, because we said that we put the key inside the square braces, right? We put the key and this is the value. That's why this is getting printed. But there is one problem in it. Suppose if this key is not part of it, and this should be genuine, so it will throw an error. Like if you want to do d2 of, suppose say 10. Now 10 is not part of this dictionary key, right? 1 is part of it, 1.5 is part of it, str is part of it, 1, 2, 3 tuple is part of it, but 10 is not there, right? So this 10 won't work. We have already said in basket, like if the thing is not present in basket, you can't just remove it or you can't just access it. Now if you run this, see, we'll throw an error, key error, because this 10 does not exist. So to overcome this, so that you don't use this, there is one more functionality called get. So what you can do, you can do print d2, name of the dictionary, .get, get, and you can put the number here. Okay, what this will do is, this won't throw an error. If the number is not found, right, it will give you none. So if this value of this key is not found, suppose 10 is the key that we want, but 10 does not exist in this dictionary, so it will give you none. So let's run this. See, it did not throw an error. Though 10 is not present, it gave you none. And if you want that it should not give none, but it should give your user defined, then you can pass here a value. You can say not found. So whatever you pass the second parameter of this get, right, that you'll be getting when the thing is not found. See, it's not found. Okay, that is how you can use. So let me comment this out and wait, let me do it here so that you know. Okay, so now But if it's there, then how will it work? So if suppose 1 is there, right, we know 1 exists, so now we can do 1. Now if you run this, see, for 1 we got 1. For the first, since we did not pass any parameter after this 10, right, by default it returns none if not found. Then if we write some parameter, then it will return whatever we wrote here, and if the items exist, right, then it will return the value of it, since we know the value of 1 is 1. So that is how we access an element in dictionary. Okay, so now how do you add an item? So we know if it's a collection, we need to as we need to access, we also need to add. Okay, let's create one more dictionary, d3 equals to empty dictionary. Now if you print this, it should give you an empty dictionary. See, we get an empty dictionary. How do we add an item? To add an item, there are two ways. One is using the square braces. So you can say d3 and put the key here. The key can be anything. The key can be string. It needs to be hashable, like it can be string, it can be float, integer, tuple, and all that. So, and you can put the equals to and put the value here. Okay. Now if you run this, see, you get key and value pair. So if you wanted to add an element, you can add it this way. And there is one more way to add it. You can use d3 dot update. Okay, what update does is, so you need to put like a dictionary inside this update, and you need to enter the key value pair. Suppose let's say 1 and put here one. Okay, and if you run this now, see, you get 1 and 1. So what this update does is, if not found, add, else update the existing. So this is how it works. So it will search if this 1, right, this key exists in this dictionary. If it does not exist, then it will add it, but if it exists, then it will just update it. So let's see how it is work. So if you do d3.update, one more time, if you write 1 and then you say updated, put the dictionary and close it. Now if you run this, see, this time we did not get this 1 equals to 1, though we added it here, right? We did not get it. Why? Because in the update, right, it will search if this key exists, then it will just put the updated value in it. If it does not exist, then it will add the new value. Similarly, using this also, right, if you do here, right, one more time, if you do d3 then put 1 and you say updated again. Okay, if you do updated again and run this, see, it went to updated again. First time it says 1, second time updated again. So it does not keep on adding the key. The key needs to be unique. All the key are unique. Okay, so whatever the key you put, all the key should be unique. So that is how you add an element to a dictionary. Now how do you remove? Removing is simple, like how we did in list, right? You can just do pop. So what you can do, you can do d3 dot pop and put the item in it. Suppose we want to remove this key. Okay, you need to put the key in it. So let's put 1, because we know that 1 is part of it. So now if you run this and let's print d3 once again, see, in the beginning key 3 had two values inside. One is key and another is 1, and 1 had updated again. But when we didn't pop, the 1 got removed and only this existed. So if you wanted to remove, you can use this pop. You can also use one more property called delete, like how we use in list, right? You can use del and put this d3 and put the key inside it. Okay, let's comment this out and print this d3 once again here. Now if you run this, see, we get the same thing. First both of them exist, but after using the delete, we get the 1 and updated again is removed. So that is how you remove items from dictionary. Okay, now how do you loop over them? So to loop over them, there are many properties. So first is, since we know in a dictionary everything is stored in key value pairs, so if you wanted to loop over them in the same time, then you can use something called items. What items is? So suppose you want to use items, then you can do d3 dot items. Now if you print these items, okay, now if you run this, See, you should, okay, uh, let me create one more dictionary, okay, so that we don't interfere with others. So let's create a dictionary called d4. Okay, we'll create a dictionary called d4, and here we'll pass a for apple. Okay, this is one dictionary with only one element. So now if you do d4 dot items, you'll be getting a list. You'll be getting a list. Inside the list, all the element in it, right? Let's print d4 once again here. If you run this, see, it was like this, right? A and apple. But when you do items, right, d4 dot items, what it will return is, it will return a list of tuple, and inside the tuple, the first parameter will be the key and the second parameter will be the value. So how, when we did an enumerate, right, you know that in a list, when you did enumerate, the first one was getting the index, the second was getting the value, right? In the same way in dictionary, when you write d4 dot items, right, dictionary name dot item, it will return a list and it will put the key in the first one and value in the second one. So let's put one more so that it becomes more clear. So let's put v for ball and run this once again. See, there are two items right here. There are two items here. So you'll get, in a list, you'll get two tuples inside this list. One is a apple, b and ball. So now since it's a list, you can go through them. So you can do for key value pair, key value in d4 dot items. So we have already learned in the previous class that when it's a tuple, you can break the tuple. Since that there are two items in a tuple, right, you can break into two variables. Now if you run this, so we'll put here print key value. You can name them anything, okay? I'm just naming it so that it looks consistent of what we are doing. See, you can see a apple, b and ball. Let's put a yeah, now it should look a little bit more good. So now if you run this, invalid syntax, yes, because we didn't put a comma here, and run this once again. So you should see a apple, b ball. So that is how you can do one using the items. When you use items, it will get both of the key and value pair in a list of tuple. But what if you wanted to get only the keys, the a and b, not the apple and ball? That is how you can do using keys property. What you can do is d4 dot keys. So let's comment this out and print this case. Now if you run this, see, you should be getting a list which contain only the key. It won't contain the apple and ball, it will just contain the key of it. So now if you want to do a for loop over it, then you can just do for key in d4 dot keys. Now this won't print you the item, okay? This will just give you access to the key. So if you run this now, see, you should be getting a and b because they are the key of it. And what if the value? The value also is same like how key works. So let's comment this out and print this once again. Just make it here values. Okay, you can do key dot values. Now if you run this, you should be getting only the values. You won't be getting the key this time. Print keys. No, it's not keys, it's values. See, you'll be getting only the values. You won't be getting the key that is a and b. You'll be getting just the values. Similarly, if you want to do a for loop, you can just put d4 dot values value and just put the value here. Now if you run this, you should be getting all the value running in a for loop. So if you run this now, see, you'll be getting apple and ball. You won't be getting the keys a and b. So that is how you can do for loop. There are three ways you can do. One is using the items that will give both the key and value together. You can go through only the keys or you can go only through the values. So that is how you can use for loop using dictionary. Now use case, like where do you use case? So when we were learning about keys list, right, we took a list, then we put a square of all the number in it, right? But there we got all the number, but we didn't know what is the square of it. So what we can do here, let's run a loop. For I in range 10, we have already learned how range work. It will go up to 0 to 9. So what we can do is, let's declare a dictionary here. So d5 equals to empty dictionary. Okay, and what we'll do here, we'll say d5 and put the I here equals to I cross I. So what this will do, inside the dictionary, it will put the integer that will be coming from the range, right, 0 up to 9 as the key, and in the values it will just put the square of it. Now if you run this and print d5, see, now we got a proper let me comment this out and run this once again. Previously in list we are getting all the values of square number. Now we can know that square of 0 is 0, 1 is 1, 2 is 4, 3 is 9, 4 is 16. So that is how you can put in a key value pair. So it will just behave like an indexing, so that you know like in the key what they need to expect in the value. So based on key, like you can write in the key name, and in the values you can write your own name. So that is how you can use keys. So you can use something like if you define one more dictionary d6, and you can say if this contain your name. Suppose you wanted to make a address of someone, okay, then you can put your name and you can put here like this, and you can say age 1, and you can just print out this. So if you wanted to use something where you want to put data of someone else, right, so in the key you always put the name that will say how the value should be defined. You can put any key, but always it's recommended that the key should be always related to what the value is supposed to be. So now if you run this, you should be getting key, name and age. So you can use dictionaries mainly used in throughout Python, okay. When we learn about classes and all that, I'll go through how dictionary is being used throughout Python, and it's very important to learn this, okay. After you know list, it's very much recommended that you know dictionary. Dictionary is very useful, okay. Now in the list we learn about something called list comprehension, right. Same thing can be used in dictionary. Like we use this d5, right, we went to print the square of a number. It can be also done in dictionary. So d6 equals to, let's put d7. So how list comprehension work? We put a curly braces, but for dictionary for list we put square braces, sorry, and for dictionary we put curly braces. So we can do this one, and we can say I means I cross I, and we can do for I in range 10. So this is how we can use dictionary comprehension. If you don't know how comprehension works, in the list comprehension we have learned in details like how list comprehension works. So let me say once again. So what it will do is, for run, we ran this, right. The same way, if you want to do in one line, you can do using this. How this will go is, for I in range, so it will calculate for I from 0 to 9, and after every calculation, right, for 0 it will go here, for 1 again it will go here, 2, so every time it goes, right, it will keep adding this key value pair, right, it will keep adding to the dictionary. Now if you print this, you should be seeing something like this, like the one you saw in the previous one. See, it's the same like how we do in for loop, but here we can do just in one line. Similarly, we can use if and else. I've already taught that in list comprehension. If you don't know, please watch that video. Okay. Now there is one tip like how we can convert two lists into a dictionary. Suppose there are two lists. Okay. So let's put one list 1, and this contain like A, B, and C. Okay, and there is one more list 2, and this contains something like apple, ball, cat. Okay, now if you wanted to convert them into dictionary where this will become the keys and this will become the values, how do you do that? So to do that, what you can do, you can zip them. So we have already learned like how zipping works, right? So what zip will do, it will convert both of them into tuples, and we know when it converts tuple, it can be converted to dictionary. What we can do is, we can write zip of list 1 and list 2. So this will convert it into tuple. Okay, so this will convert it into tuple, tup. Now what we can do is, we can put this tuple inside a dictionary. So what we can do is, let's put it d8 equals to dict and put this tuple inside it. Now if you print this d8, let me comment this out and run this. See, you'll be getting A apple, B ball, C cat. So how does that work is, so since there are two lists and we know how to, if you zip them, this will give a tuple in it. So if you print, let's print this tup. I've already taught this in the previous class when we learned about tuples. I have said this in the list class also, that how we can convert a list into using zip. So if you run this, see first it got converted into 1 second. So let me convert this into list. Because on the zip it won't return directly the list itself. So if you want to return the list, then you need to put it inside the list. So now if you see, so first it will run and it will convert all of the elements in that list, right? It will convert it into tuple. Then when you put in the dictionary, then this will be converted back into dictionary. So if you run this once again, see it will be converted back into dictionary. So that is how, that is one more tip. Like if you wanted to convert multiple, if you want to convert two lists, right? You have two lists and you want to convert them into dictionary, you can do this way. First you zip them, then just put inside the dictionary. So that was all about dictionary for today. Let me recap like what we went. So what is dictionary? First we went what is dictionary. So it's a data structure we store in key value pair where all keys are unique. All keys are hashable and unique. So this is very important. Okay, it needs to be unique, it needs to be hashable. So this is what a dictionary is. It's a data structure we stores in key value pair where all keys are hashable and unique. So and how do you define it? You put the variable. Inside the variable we put curly braces. The first parameter is the key, second is the value, and if you want to add more, just put comma and keep on adding. So this is one dictionary, and you can print the dictionary, and if you want to know the type, that is dict, then you can just print the type. So how do you declare an hashability? So keys needs to be hashable. As I already said, key needs to be hashable. And what hashable means? Hashable means where the items can be converted into some sort of numerical term. So how can we do that? We can do using a function called hash that is provided by Python. If it can be converted to hash, this x will be a number. But if it cannot, right, then this will throw an error, type error. So when you do this, right, instead of a you pass something, a list or something, then you'll get an error. So to get an error, what you can do is you can do y equal hash of 1 2 3. When you do this, right, this will throw an error. Because why? Because list is not hashable. Throws error because list won't be hashable. And so what are hashable? Hashable are like you can use for dictionary keys. What are the values that can be used? That can be used are like 1, that is integer, 1.5, that is float, string. You can use tuple. But when you are using tuple, be careful. Inside the tuple you cannot add list or anything because lists are not hashable. So but in the values can be anything. Well, values does not matter if it's hashable, not hashable. Whatever you want, you can put in the values. Now how do you access? Same like list, you can access this, but here we don't have the index, but we have the key. So if you put the key inside the square braces, then you should be getting the value of it. And if the number does not exist, it will throw an error when you do it square braces. So there is a better way to do it using the get operator. So when we do get, if the number is not present, by default it will give you a none type. But if you pass the second parameter after the key, then it will give you this thing whenever it does not exist. And if it exists, you will get the number. And now we come, how do you add new item? To add a new item, so what you can do is you can put the name of the dictionary inside the square braces, put the key. It can be anything which are hashable, and the value it can be anything. And there is one more way how you can do it using the update method. Inside the update method, put the key and put the value like a dictionary, and it will just update your dictionary. If it exists, it will just update the key of that property, key value of that property. If it does not exist, it will add a new item. So here when we do 2 times, right, the latest one, that is the second one, will be the new value of this one. So you can also update it using the same thing. So if the key exists, the new value of that key will be the latest value for this dictionary. And how do you remove? You remove it same like how we remove in list. You can use the pop operator and pass the key. But if this key does not exist, it will throw an error. And there is one more way you can do it using the del property. This can also be done in list. So you put del, put the dictionary, put the key, and it should get deleted. Then come, how do we loop? For looping, there are 3 things. I have told this already in detail. Let me just go through it once. So if you wanted to loop over the key and value in the same time, you can go through items. So you can pass dictionary.item. This will return a list of tuples where keys and values of all the keys and values are separated out in a tuple form, where the first parameter is the key, second parameter is value. That is how you can break up unpacking the variables into key and value pair. But if you want only keys, you can do dot keys. If you want only values, you can do on dot values. Now come use case. Where do you use them? We use them where we wanted the key and value to come together. So that is how you use them. Then we can use this comprehension that we already learned. And there is one tip how we can convert two lists into dictionary. So now let's put this to GitHub. So you can see there are two modified. So git add, git push. So we did not commit. Let's commit it. Git commit. And let's push it to origin. So let's see if it got pushed. We can go to our browser and see that our dictionary got pushed. We get all the items here, whatever we learned today. So that was it for today. I hope you learned about how dictionary works. If you did not go through tuples and set, go through it. And yeah, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next.